My name is Louise, and this is the story of my son Chris, who is going on 33 and trying to be a recovering addict. Chris delves into addiction, I guess, probably began in junior high. He'd been being bullied by some ethnic groups. I got pretty outraged. Things at that time were very tense in the neighborhood with different ethnicities and groups, as the police at that time were referring to them. They didn't want to class them as gangs, although parents had no problem classing them as gangs. So after my son had told me about the threats that were being made on him, I took him to see the police, and the officer just basically told my son to let them get their beats on him and they would move on. Rather than doing that, Chris found a way to become friends with them, and then very soon after that he was part of them, and his addiction grew from there. I've heard it said that addiction is like playing Russian roulette. No one knows when they take that first drink or do that first drug if they have the addiction gene or not. They do what many people do in society with no repercussion, nothing happening to them, but they do that same thing and they are addicted. That's what happened to my son. He played Russian roulette with drugs, and addiction became that result. I don't believe any addict has ever taken a drug wanting to become an addict. His mom and dad, didn't know. I guess we're in denial for an awful lot for the first several years, which caused a lot of enabling by giving him money. He was working for his dad, and you need $50 before payday. You've earned it, okay. And then when we found out that he had become an addict, the enabling stopped. The promises of I'm done doing drugs, and knowing that, believing that when he was saying that, he was being very sincere and very true, and yet the craving for the drug would take over, and the strength would be gone when the craving became strong. Chris has been homeless, not homeless on the streets in a sleeping bag, but homeless bouncing from couch to couch. People do that for years. Society doesn't look at them as homeless because we don't see them. I believe that a lot of people also believe that people make the choice to be an addict and or homeless, see a homeless person and, we'll go get a job. And a lot of people who are homeless are working. A lot of addicts are working. Chris has worked for most of the years since he left school at 16. For many years he was plumbing for his dad's company, and right now he's just started with another company. Never gotten his schooling for plumbing though. That's always been a challenge. The need for the money to fulfill the living, whatever his living is at that time, be it addiction or whether he's been not doing drugs and just trying to survive. As family of people with addiction and mental illness, a lot of our friends don't want us talking about it. It's taboo, or our family member brought this on themselves and they're no good, and it makes it hard as a family member. Who do you talk to without judgment? Who do you go to for advice. Our federal government believes in building more jails to house the addicted and mentally ill and homeless. They don't see mental illness and addiction as diseases. When Chris was younger and we first learned of his addiction, we had lots and lots of money, he would have been able to go into treatment for 30 or 60 days. But at the end of the money or at the end of the term, whether the addiction was treated or not, he would be done. We need to focus on rehabilitation, education for prevention, so that people have an understanding of, if I make this choice to do this drug, I could be tripping that gene and embarking on a journey I never want to go on. What makes the difference with therapeutic farms is if it takes years, they're there. The impact of Chris's addiction is, I think for me, it's the feeling of helplessness. I see his potential, I see his compassion in his heart, I see all the good in him, and know that there's nothing that I can do. There's nothing that I can do. It's my hope that our government will quit building more jails and put that money into places like Woodwind Farms that truly treat the problem, end the problem. This just isn't a Victoria problem. It's not an island problem. It's a worldwide problem. We as society need to start standing up and telling our governments they need to take care of our people. It's my hope for my son that he will battle his addiction successfully and be able to, down the road, be reunited with his 4-year-old son, who he now can't see. Since he was young, and was sneaking out his bedroom window at night after we'd all gone to bed. I surround him in white light and pray for him to be safe, and that I'll hear from him tomorrow.